Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure you're enjoying yourself today. First of all, I'd like to just say I consider this a privilege to share with you today a passion of mine about our Bermuda Gombe culture. First of all, I have to set some objectives. My first objective is to tell you, teach you, educate you a bit more about the Bermuda Gombe culture. My second objective is, if I do an excellent job on my first objective, then you would know a bit more about the Bermuda Gombe culture, and hopefully you will gain a deeper understanding and appreciation for what we do. Would you guys like to go on a cultural journey? Yeah. All right. Help me out here. I want everyone in this room to close your eyes a brief moment. Empty any thoughts that might distract you. I'm going to take you on a cultural journey. And it's called Listen to the Drums Calling. Listen. Listen. This sound is coming from the continent of Africa. This sound is a drum beat that is played for ceremonial purposes. It's steeped in tradition and culture. This sound is from Mother Earth. Listen, I hear another sound. Do you hear? Listen to the drums calling you. This sound you hear is a Native American song. We call it a straight song. You will hear this type of drumming and singing at powwows, at social gatherings. What you hear is thousands and thousands of years of traditions and culture. These are storytelling from the drummer or singer to the people. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard two distinct sounds. A long time ago, these two cultures crossed paths. And the paths that they crossed was not intentional. It was actually forced. It was forced due to the slave trade. And from this, we have an infusion of culture. And a new sound has been born. The Bermuda Gombe. The Bermuda Gombe. This is your very own culture. I want to take you back in history. I want to tell you a story. This story is a very true story that happened in your very own island of Bermuda. The story begins in 1831, January 10th to be exact. This was a story based on two runaway slaves. The names of these slaves was Ajax and Mentor. It is said that the two slaves heard the calling of these drums in the distance and left their plantations. When the slave owners discovered that they were missing, he frantically looked and looked and looked, but could not find them, until one day he placed an ad in the local gazette, hoping that someone would find and see his slaves. But as the story says, the slaves were never found. I want to get to the heart of the Bermuda Gombe. The Bermuda Gombe is made up of two elements, basically: dancers and drummers. Let us look at the dancers. There are basically three fundamental dance steps that the Gombes perform. Whether you see them on the street during the public holidays, whether you see them in a commercial environment, such as playing or performing at a hotel. The first one is called fast dance or freedom dance. And you can imagine the reason why it's called freedom dance is because when the slaves were finally told that they are free men, the excitement, the energy, the power that they demonstrated through their dance. The second form of dance is called Junkanoo. This is where we have our Caribbean influence. If any of you have visited the Caribbean islands, like Jamaica or even the Bahamas, you may have heard of the Junkanoo. The third form of dance is masquerading. This is a very spiritual dance. Let us talk a bit more about the drums. Just like in Africa, the talking drum, which is played to send messages. The Bermuda Gombe drum also sends messages. It's sort of like a Morse code, if you will. The snare drums talk to one another. Sometimes the snare drum talks to the dancer. There's always a oneness, a bond, a communication between drummer and dancer. Let us talk about the tools or the weapons of choice that these young warriors bear in their hand. These are weapons or tools used for everyday life or to defend their tribe. Let us take a look at the regalia. Notice I say the word regalia and not costume. Regalia adds significance, pride in what they're doing. The most significant part of the regalia, ladies and gentlemen, is the headdress. Because of its peacock feathers, it represents pride of who they are. Proud to be a Gombe. They are proud of their ancestry. Let's look at the cape that is adorned on their back. Yes, it may look pretty by the untrained eye, but there is significance even in the cape. The cape represents royalty. Royalty from the African tribe and royalty from the Native American tribe. Let us take a look at some of the glittery things that you see on the cape, like the mirrors. Well, the Gombe's tradition says the mirrors are there because if the evil spirits saw their reflection in the mirror, they would run away, leaving the dancer to perform its cultural dance. In 2002, there was a reconnection. Some of you may have heard. There was a reconnection of Native American coming to Bermuda to find their relatives. Wow. It was discovered that certain surnames, such as Minus, Burchell, Fox, Lamb, and a few others, were actually tied to Native Americans that lived on the eastern seaboard, such as the Pequot, tribes, the Wampanoag tribes. Well, I'm here to tell you that my family, on the Minor side as well as the Bertram clan, is tied to Pequot tradition, culture, and ancestry. So you can see why it is so dear to me. It is important that we pass this tradition on to our young ones so that we can always have Bermuda Gombe's for our future generation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a demonstration of the 3 forms of dance. The first one is going to be fast dance. You can easily identify this because of its speed. Well done. Well done. Fast dance. I hope you noticed that with his fast footwork, the snare drummer, his tempo was very fast. And every step of his foot was a shot on the rim shot. So as you can see, the drum and the dancer are in unison. The next form of dance is going to be Junkanoo. The last form of dance is masquerading. It's a lot slower in tempo, and it's more spiritual. So it's less footwork, but more torso body movement. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, over time, the slaves were introduced to Christianity. Believe it or not, there are 2 Bible stories that are depicted in the Gombe dance. One of it is Daniel in the lion's den, and the other one is David and Goliath. And we're going to show you David and Goliath, and that's when you have a smaller dancer dancing against a bigger dancer. As you can see, the small dancer represented David and the big dancer represented Goliath. and David danced over his body in victory. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this very short presentation of several years of culture and tradition, just what you've seen today, you would have deepened your appreciation of the Bermuda Gombe dancers. Thank you for having me. Have a good day.